So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is stop comparing your life to others. We don't know what anyone else's story is. Not really. It may be that it appears to be happier and brighter than what we're feeling inside. But the first thing we're going to do is stop comparing. Hi, I'm Bridget Shipman, and I'm the host and creator with my son, Joseph Shipman, of A Mother's Guide Through Autism podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to stay calm amidst all the chaos that you're going through. And that is a saying that you've probably heard before is, amidst all the chaos, what does that really mean? And more importantly, how to cope with chaos when you're right in the middle of all of it. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And I think it's really important to talk about it because as I coach more and more mothers who have children on the autistic spectrum, the more that I understand and also remember that it is a journey being a parent on the autism journey, right? I mean, it's not something that we know is going to be just a season where it just passes. It is a lifelong disability. So therefore, we will be parents of a child who has a lifelong disability. And with that comes added stress and certainly added chaos. So before we get into all of that, I want to share a little bit of what I've been reflecting as I created this podcast and how important it is as I reflect back. So I can remember at the beginning when Joseph was starting kindergarten, and Jacob, my youngest son, was an infant. He was just a baby. Joseph and Jacob are basically 5 years apart. And so Joseph starting kindergarten in itself was a big undertaking. And then I also had a baby. And I was also trying to decide how I was going to be able to manage it, because at that time I was also doing a lot of home therapies for Joseph. And, when you have a baby, as those of you that have a child, you know how stressful having a baby can be. And Jacob was, probably 2 months old when Joseph started kindergarten. And I remember doing these motivational talks for myself, like, okay, you can do this. You're tough. Everyone tells you how strong you are, so you've got this. And I would just keep a stiff upper lip. Literally, I would have Joseph trying to manage, breakfast with him. So any of you that your child has a lot of sensory issues, especially when it comes to food, nutrition, which is quite common, that in itself is enough stress for one whole day. Getting your child to eat something and then trying to make sure they're getting a nutritious meal before they head out to, again, a very stressful situation, which is taking your child to school and what all goes with that. So I would be managing Joseph's breakfast. My baby Jacob would be in his carrier, that little seat that we had, and I would keep my fingers crossed that he would not start crying. And you never know when a baby's going to cry, right? So I had one foot on Jacob's little carrier to keep, a little rock going. I was working on Joseph's lunch because he was not able to go through a lunch line, because you can see what the menus are at school, but you certainly know your child well enough to know if they're going to eat something. So I made sure he took his lunch every day so that I would feel like he was eating. And again, making sure that my son was getting his nutrition. And so it was so chaotic. And that was a normal day. I'm not even talking about, the days where my baby would cry, when Jacob would cry, nonstop while I was trying to get Joseph out the door. I also had this, what I call in Mother's Guide Through Autism, the book Joseph and I wrote. I talk about my survival notebook with his teachers. So depending on how Joseph's morning went, I made sure that I let the teacher know, okay, we had a bad morning, things didn't go well. Here, he didn't eat. I mean, I needed to tell and communicate with his teacher the best that I could. So I was also preparing that. And how did his evening go? So that communication between Joseph's teacher and myself was essential, not only for that day, but also for managing and being able to have those teaching moments we get to have with our kids at home. So what did Joseph need help with to manage going to school? So just me reflecting on that made me realize that every day is chaotic. Our daily lives as a parent with a child on the autistic spectrum, there is some chaos. So we are amidst the chaos. But the key to it is, how can we stay calm going through this? And maybe not completely calm some days, but calmer. Okay, so I want to start out with the fact that I want to be able to break down even more what I'm talking about. So I want to start out with what chaos is. What do I mean by amidst the chaos? So first, what does it even mean to be calm amidst the daily chaos? What it means is that you are not affected by the confusion that's going on. Okay, so take that in for a minute. You are not affected by all the confusion that's going on. So I just gave you a brief reflection of what a morning might look like when Joseph was starting kindergarten and I had an infant, his younger brother, Jacob. So that was just a small example of what my daily chaos was. And there were days that there was certainly more than what I just shared. And I'm pretty sure you can relate to this. I'm almost, let's say 99.9% sure you are relating to even my reflection. Okay. So as moving forward, just think about that. How can you not be affected by all the confusion that's going on? So let's break this apart even more. Chaos equals the disorderly state of various things, often related in close proximity with each other. All right, so I would take that and say, well, disorderly state of various things, that would be Joseph eating, Jacob crying, and me trying to keep it together in a way that I can manage it and just realize babies cry, that's going to happen. And that Joseph may or may not eat breakfast, that can happen. And then I may not be able to manage it the way that I want to, right? So although I lived through it and I survived it, it was not without stress because I didn't know how to stay calm through all the confusion. Amidst, when you hear that word, what that simply means is that you're in the middle or in the center of the chaos, which for me, and my hunch is my hunch is that you understand that because I have coached many mothers who are in the middle of chaos each and every day. And I know that I know for sure that I was in the middle of it every day. And I did not do a good job staying calm through it. Had you have seen me out and about, you would have never known that inside I was losing it, that inside I was nothing but a ball of stress. You would have never known it. I was very good at masking it. And I know a lot of other mother guides that are very good at masking what level of stress that they're living in. And that is survival, but it's not quality. Surviving is surviving, which is good, but it is not a quality of life that I would like to do over for sure. And this is why this is so important, because I want to help you be able to manage it. You know, our goal in life is not to live without chaos. So I'm not going to sit here and try to give you tools to not have chaos in your life. I'm trying to get you to accept that chaos is part of your autism journey, that chaos will remain because we have no control over when our children are going to have meltdowns. We have no control over what others do and how they respond to us and our kids. So it is a chaotic journey, but that doesn't mean that we can't be calmer and happier living this journey of autism. Okay. So I want you to get clear about that. I'm not saying I'm going to give you tools to not have chaos. I'm simply giving you tools to help you be calmer and happier on your autism journey. So how can we be calm through our daily chaos? As I just said, chaos is part of the human experience. And our goal is today, as I'm talking to you, is to create awareness that, in fact, you are in chaos. I knew I was stressed out, but I didn't understand it. So the first thing I want you to start doing is to become aware. As you're listening to this, become aware if, in fact, you are in chaos. Maybe not in this moment, in this very moment, but reflect your day. Was there any chaos throughout your day? And to be aware that our stress levels are up. And what is going on, I want you to become aware of what's going on inside your body and your mind. And then realize that if we don't become aware of the level of stress that we're in, then it's going to be very difficult to manage it. It's going to be difficult to manage chaos, let's face it. Okay. So I want to take a moment, and one of the main things that I hear from you all is that, and I did this too, by the way, I would look around and I mean, I thought to myself, I have two children. Two. Yes, one is on the spectrum, and yes, one is very small. And I would watch other mothers and other parents, and they seemed like they were doing great. And they looked happy, and everybody looked calm. And then there was me and what I was feeling on the inside. But as I said earlier, when they were looking at me, they were probably thinking the same thing. Wow, how does she do it? How does she smile when she is a child on the spectrum that's having a meltdown and a baby that's crying? How does she do that? But I would do that comparison thing. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is stop comparing your life to others. We don't know what anyone else's story is. Not really. It may be that it appears to be happier and brighter than what we're feeling inside. But the first thing we're going to do is stop comparing. So take a breath with that. Give yourself the opportunity to just stay present and with yourself in your own situation, in your own feelings, and don't put all that stress and judgment on yourself as you compare, because that's one of the things that will take you down and zap your energy, is believing thoughts that aren't true and believing that other people are happier than you and have it better than you and the grass is greener is not reality. So that's the first thing I'm going to ask you to become aware of, is to notice, am I in fact in chaos? Am I in the middle of it? Am I comparing my life to others? And just begin noticing that. I love this quote from Brene Brown. If you haven't checked out some of Dr. Brene Brown's books, I highly recommend any of them, in her TED Talks and anything she has to say, because she does a really good job breaking down self-judgment and how hard we are on ourselves. And so this quote is awesome. Here it is. It takes courage to say yes to rest and play in a culture where exhaustion is seen as a status symbol. That really resonates with me. I'm going to say it one more time. It takes courage to say yes to rest and play in a culture where exhaustion is seen as a status symbol. Take that in. And I know for me, I certainly had that thought. I thought, if I'm like, moms are supposed to be exhausted. I mean, this is just part of the motherhood journey, isn't it? To be completely exhausted, to not know what time it is or what's happening, or, hey, what's going on in the world. Well, when I was going through all this, and I'm going back to the reflection of when my children were younger, I didn't have the social media to throw on top of that. So comparison was easy enough to do, just going to the grocery store while Joseph was having a meltdown and looking around as others were staring at me, and their kids were calm, and they had 4 kids or sometimes even 6 kids, and I had one, and my child was having the meltdown, and comparing myself and questioning my ability to mother. What was I doing wrong, right? And now there's social media to add that extra comparison, where you look on social media and you see that everybody is living their best life, and you feel like you're not, because you're in chaos, because you have a lot of stress. And as those stress levels go up, things start to happen to your body. And if you're not aware of what's going on inside your body, it's going to be difficult for you to take care of it. And this is another important element of being calm in the middle of chaos. And I think, for myself, I carried that stress around with me up until recently. And if you've been following me and you know our story, you know that I developed a chronic illness, a lifelong chronic illness. And if you stay under that level of stress because you don't have the tools of how to keep calm in stressful situations, and I'm talking daily, right? As I said earlier, being part of this human experience, we're going to go through what I have referred to as life tsunamis. Those are those big, painful waves of life that hit us unexpectedly. And those are the situations that it does build resilience, but life tsunamis are bigger and a bit more difficult than our daily chaos. But daily chaos, if not managed, can turn into a life tsunami, as mine did. And I became a type 1 diabetic. And what that means is my pancreas literally doesn't work at all. They used to call it juvenile onset diabetes, and it's a very serious chronic disease, and I have learned how to manage it. Thank goodness for modern medicine. But I do believe if I would have had the tools and I would have been able to manage my stress, that I would not have had this autoimmune disease hit me at age 39. And everybody has a story. That's why we don't compare. Yes, I am happy now. Yes, I live with joy now. And there's no need for me to mask. And that's why it is so important for me to pay all of this forward to you, because you don't have to live a life full of stress and carry it around with you. I think it's also important that you understand that when you begin to manage this stress, that it is their daily practices, and the more you practice, the easier it gets. But I try to give you really simple ones, because depending on where you're at and in your own personal journey, you may or may not have these practices or a practice that you are doing yourself. And today, what I'm going to offer you is just 4 easy steps to become calmer amidst the chaos. All right, if you're driving, go ahead and just listen, and you can listen to this episode as many times as you'd like. What I have found too is, although we have, this is 101 of our episodes. So although we have literally one episode over 100, you can go back and listen to these episodes as many times as you want. So if you're driving, don't worry about not being able to do these steps. And also, more than likely, this is so simple that you can probably just listen to it and be able to add it to your daily practice. All right, let's start with step 1. Step 1 is to notice when you're feeling stress creeping in, and notice as it's creeping in if it's growing throughout your day. Maybe I'm going to give you an example of something like that. Maybe you get that dreaded phone call from the school that says your child had a meltdown, and depending on the school, you either have to go pick them up, no matter what it is that you're doing, or this is just another stressful moment that the school is letting you know about that they're expecting you to manage. You know that feeling. So let's say you get that call, and you can use that moment to go, okay, wow, I can really feel my heart rate has increased, my breathing is more shallow, and I feel that knot in my stomach, right? So we all have stress creeping in and grow inside of us. What's important to do is to notice it. And where do you feel it in your body? And what does it feel like? So that when you do feel it, then you can go to step 2, which is stop whatever it is you're doing. Say you got the phone call, you get off the phone. Stop whatever it is that you're doing. And in that moment, take 3 deep breaths in a row. As you inhale, you accept. And as you exhale, one hand on your stomach, you surrender. In, I accept. Exhale, I surrender. Do that 3 times in a row. And those 3 deep breaths will bring your heart rate down. Your breathing will become less shallow, and you will be able to feel more calm in that moment. Once you've done those 3 breaths and you've accepted the dreaded phone call, then let's move to step 3. Now, let's decide in that moment what is important enough for you. What is important enough for your energy? What is important enough? You only have so much energy in a day. Is this dreaded phone, is that phone call going to zap the rest of your energy? Or can you take those 3 deep breaths, stay calm, and decide, okay, where is my energy going? You can't undo the meltdown. You can't undo the phone call. I would like for you in step 3 to direct it, your energy, to the things that matter and let the rest go. So what matters in that moment? What is most important in that moment? What can you do in that moment? Okay, so staying upset and stressed is going to zap your energy, where if you can, in that moment, take those 3 deep breaths, accept, surrender, accept, surrender, accept, surrender. Sit back and go, okay, where do I want to direct the rest of my energy in this moment? And then lastly, step 4. Once you've redirected your energy and you feel calmer amidst the chaos, you'll take care and direct your energy, and somewhere in your day, this is essential, do a small act of kindness for you. Remember, the goal is not to live life without chaos. The goal is to stay calm in the middle of it. And these simple steps will help you do that. And that is the practice for today. It's simple, it's small, and it instantly is going to shift your chaos and stress to a lower level, and you will feel calmer, and everything around you is going to feel calmer. I would love to hear from you, hear how this practice is helping you stay calmer. I'm going to continue this conversation in our next episode, and I'm going to try to give you some more simple, easy ways to shift your stress to stay calmer in your daily chaos. So stay tuned for that in our next episode of A Mother's Guide Through Autism. If you really enjoyed and thought this episode was helpful, we would greatly appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to our podcast. Also, I want you to be aware that we have a Mother's Guide Through Autism support group on Facebook that you can join. So find us on Facebook, A Mother's Guide Through Autism. Also, I would like for you to remember that you are on a journey, and the more that you can learn about managing stress and chaos rather than just winging it like I did, the brighter your journey will become. So I hope that you can remember that we can do this together. We have the support for you on our Facebook support group. This podcast is something that is very important to Joseph and I, because our message is knowledge, hope, and inspiration. That's what we want to spread. And we will continue our work, and we love hearing from you. So let us know if this episode helped you stay calmer in the middle of your daily chaos. And I will see you in our next episode. I will again continue this discussion of how to better manage your stress level during our daily chaotic lives on this autism journey. Stay well, stay safe, and let me hear from you. See you next time.